Hi, my name is Jon Erik. In this documentary, I will try to show how I think and work on my current project, the tourist gaze. I'm visiting tourist places here in Norway to investigate this activity in relation to consumerism and representation. First, I will stress the importance of art theory and photography theory. For me, this knowledge is necessary to produce my artifacts as intended and how to present my work. Some of this art theory and critical theory has its foundation in Marxist theory, like Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer's Culture Industry, published in 1945. They argue in the culture industry that art can reflect the truth of society in social, economic, and political terms, mimesis, as they call it, and therefore also can reflect a failure in society. But the third alternative is the culture industry, which produces art that collaborate with the untruth of society and denies any truth in art. The culture industry simulates reality, creates symbols, representation. It also presents a reality we should long for but is unreachable. In a state of continuous longing, it is a subduing of spontaneous activity and criticism. Mass tourism can be said to be a part of the culture industry. The tourist moves into a vacuum bubble of an industry with an overwhelming continuous stream of images and events leads us to passively and uncritical accepting the images that we are presented. The capitalist world is described by Guy Debord in his The Society of the Spectacle from 1969. The board focuses on the abstract symbolic realm. The spectacle is the set of images that disguise and replace reality. The spectacle seduces people into a set of pseudo-needs for commodities that can bring only momentarily pseudo-gratification. Let's have a look at cruise tourism. The passengers on the cruise ship, they are totally secluded from their surroundings on board the ship. They see the world passes by. They don't participate in any way. A passive gaze onto the surroundings. Let's have a go. I'm now going to Geiranger, a famous tourist place in Norway. It's a small village with 226 inhabitants during winter time, but during summer it has about 700,000 visitors. 300,000 of this arrives with a cruise ship. These ships are not very much appreciated by the locals for several reasons. They don't spend very much money locally, and of course the environmental issue with these ships. The environmental problems with this cruise ship is quite significant. There was in 2018 a report that stated that the air pollution in this fjord was so high that it could be a health risk. And much of this pollution comes from the cruise ships. Photographers and theorists that has inspired me is photographers from the Düsseldorf Fotoschule like Andreas Gursky, landscape photographers like Nadav Kander, Richard Misrach, Aboiska van der Molen, theorists like Alan Sekula, Martha Russler, and the philosopher Jacques Rancière. Hilde van Gelden writes about Alan Sekula in 50 Key Writers on Photography. A red thread is his firm conviction that photography today still has the capacity to develop an aesthetics of active resistance to the status quo. All of Sekula's work is therefore to be understood as an ingenious assemblage of photographs and accompanying texts aiming to achieve that intervening effect. The French philosopher Jacques Rancière's notion of the emancipated spectator overturns the board's assumption that spectatorship is a passive position. He writes, "The images of art do not supply weapons for battles. They help sketch new configurations of what can be seen, what can be said, and what can be taught, and consequently, a new landscape of the possible." Lucy Sutter in Why Art Photography. Regarding sustainability, this project has required some driving with my car to different places that it has quite a lot emission. I have a hybrid car, but anyway, and it's also very expensive. So if I continue with the tourist approach, I will limit the travel to one particular place, and maybe also the distance will be closer, so I might use train or a bus. Any chemicals I use in the darkroom will be disposed at environmental place, and for printing, possible framing, I will use disposed materials from my work, and for the future experimental work with cameraless photography, I will contact my supplier for expired photo paper. During my visits to this tourist destination the last weeks, I've seen a quite significant search for the photogenic, search for some real or authentic in the landscape or in the nature. I've also realized that it's quite expensive, this. So I have to be aware of that. I've also realized that I'm not a hunter. I need a concrete, specific idea before photographing, a concrete place to go. Research at all levels is everything. I've also experienced that my more abstract or experimental work lacks a connection with the more realistic work. The experimental / abstract work suffer from a lack of meaning, I think. So this is the end of my documentary. I hope you enjoyed it. And I apologize for my bad English. Okay. Oh, I'm going to work some more. गगनसदृशं मेघवर्णं शुभाङ्गं शान्ताकारं भुजगशयनं